Okay, guys, in the next video, for example number 3, we are going to now look at what happens if some of these coefficients, some of these numbers are negative, okay? So let's first look at this example, x squared plus 25x minus 26. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do to factor it is I can see that there is a minus right here. And what I like to do is anytime we see a subtraction, I'm going to add a negative. So it's the same thing. Subtracting is the same thing as adding a negative. Okay. So let me go ahead and make my table. All right. So over here, there's going to be factors. Over here, there will be the sum. And then here would be the product. So why things are more difficult here is that because you have a negative number. So you need to find pairs of numbers that would multiply to negative 26. Okay, so there's going to be more possibilities, right? So if the positive case is easier, negative case is not, because you can have other possibilities here, right? So if you have a negative somewhere, right? So all positives, then that's what we did in the previous video. But what if there is some negatives? So what will I do? Well, what two numbers would multiply and give you negative 26? Okay, so 1 for sure, but then the other number is not going to be 26, it's going to be negative 26, because you have to multiply them and get a negative. So the only way for two numbers to multiply to a negative if one of them is negative, right? So it could be 1 negative 26, but it could also be negative 1 positive 26. You see, so now you have more possibilities. So it could be 2, and then 2 times what is negative 26? So every time here you have to get negative 26. Well, you can check that out, right? You can say, okay, what is 26 divided by 2? Okay, that's 13. But if I want negative, then this should be negative over here, right? Then they'll multiply to negative 26. But it could also be negative 2 positive 13, you see? So now I have more possibilities there, right? Okay, so what else? Is 26 divisible by 3? No, you can check that out. It's not divisible by 4, at least I don't think. Okay, let's see. 4 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, 6 doesn't work, 7 doesn't work. How about 8? No, 9, no, 10, no. Okay, so there are lots of possibilities, but none of them are gonna work. So you can see, you can keep checking them out. Ah, found one more, 213, but I already have it. So that means that there is nothing else really there. Those are the only possibilities. So every one of these multiplies to that number right there. Okay, so it was a negative, so all of these are negative. That's great. Okay, but now these pairs, let's add them up. So what's 1 plus negative 26? So you can check that out. You can use a calculator. You can put 1 plus negative 26. That's going to give you negative 25, right? So this will be negative 25. This would be positive 25 if you add them up, and you can always do that on a calculator. 2 plus negative 13 is negative 11. Negative 2 plus positive 13 is positive 11. Okay, now out of all of these pairs, you want their sum to match this number right here, the 25. And I can see that the winning pair is this one, because that's the one that has a sum of 25. Okay, so here's how I'm gonna factor. So I'm gonna start getting ready. So put x here. Then I basically copy these numbers. So the negative 1, I'm just going to put minus 1. And the 26 I'll put right here, and it's positive, so I will put a plus. So I am basically done. The only thing I would advise you to do, if it's on the test, is to use FOIL to check it out. So you can go ahead and do that. You see x squared plus 26x minus x, or 1x minus 26. And so then you will see that this will be 25x minus 26, which matches this right here. Okay, so that means I am good to go. Okay, we'll look at one more example. Now this one is pretty complicated because both numbers are negative in front of x and also the number itself. 1 second, sorry. All right, so let's see if we can work this one. Okay, so that's the last example. So we had x squared minus x minus 6. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is do a couple of things. First of all, in front of x, I don't see anything, so I'm going to put a 1. Second, I'm going to turn every one of these to a plus minus. just so I know what to do. Okay, so I'm going to create my table. The pairs are going to be here, pairs of factors. This is going to be a sum, and this is going to be a product. Okay, so and then I have to list pairs that would multiply to -6. So this has to be -6. Okay, so this shouldn't be too hard. Always start with 1, and then the other number should be negative, right? Because the product should be -6. Okay, but they're also going to be -1, +6. Okay, how about 2? Well, 2 works, and the other number would be -3, right? Because 2 times -3 is -6. So all of these work. How about -2, +3? Well, that's also going to give you -6. Is there anything else? No, because 6 doesn't have any other pairs of factors that would multiply to -6, because 3 we already listed, so that's not going to happen, and 6 is a pretty small number. Now let's do the sum. So 1 plus -6 would be -5. -1 plus 6 is +5. 2 plus -3 is -1. -2 plus 3 is +1. So which of them would add to -1? Okay, so what do I see? Right here, I see that. So the winning pair is this guy right here, 2, -3. So how am I going to factor it? So let's put the x here. So I'm going to have x plus 2, x minus 3. Now to check, you're going to do the FOIL. So you're going to do x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 6. You will see that that matches the original expression. And so then that would work. Now, be very careful, because sometimes what happens, and imagine that you have an example like this. So it's let's say you have x squared plus x, and then okay, so let me just think how that could work. Okay, so this would be plus 6, but then if this is plus 6 and then that one is, let's say, minus 5, how would that work? Okay, so just to looking at this, because that's kind of tricky, very tricky. Okay, so here we have pairs, here we have sum, and here we have product. So if you're asking yourself, okay, what two numbers would multiply, give me +6, right? And now let's insert a plus minus. So you're going to say, okay, that would be 1 and 6. But that's not going to work, because they have to add up to a negative, and the sum of two positive numbers is going to be positive. So you know that there is no way that that's going to work. So what is going to happen? Well, it is also possible that the two pairs are both negative. Then their product is +6. Now the sum of these would be -7, right? So that doesn't work. Okay, how about 2, 3? Would that work? Well, the product would be 6, but the sum is going to be +5, so that does not work. But what about -2, -3? That will multiply to +6 and add to -5. So you see, so this is going to be really tricky, but you have to match it. So again, the product should be this number right here, and then the sum of the two winning numbers should be that right there, right? So this is the product, and that is the sum. So in this case, the winning pair would be this right here, right? So the factoring was going to look like x minus 2, x minus 3. And again, always verify using FOIL.